All right, guys, we're gonna go over the flossing technique. You might hear this referred to as voodoo floss. We are going to use the Rock Tape brand of floss. They just deem that rock floss. All it is a stretchy band, okay? And the mechanism that this works by is fascial glide, by improving fascial glide. So fascia is getting a whole bunch of credit recently, which is really cool. They recently named it an organ, so that's awesome. But it's basically the connective tissue that holds all of your, it's the framework, if you will, that holds everything in your body together. So the muscles are surrounded by fascia that interface with other muscles surrounded by fascia, which interface with the skin, connected via fascia, which interfaces with other things, right? And the muscles interface with the bone and the organs and things like that. And everything is held together by this fascial network. Now, when fascial layers don't articulate well over themselves because they're all over the place, and if they're not sliding or gliding well over themselves, we can have this lack of range of motion, lack of mobility, lack of smooth range of motion, and feel tight and stiff and even potentially cause some pain or discomfort. So one reason that fascial layers might get tight or stiff is if you're immobilized for a long period of time. So when you come out of a cast, let's say you broke your arm and your arm was immobilized in a cast, that tissue wasn't able to move very well, and the fascial layers actually develop what's called fuzz. So one of the leading researchers in the field actually deems it fuzz in between the layers that kind of basically just sticks together, and it doesn't allow it to move very well. That's why when you get out of a cast, you feel really stiff trying to move that joint again, until enough movement occurs that can kind of break it up and get it going, okay? Another example is when you wake up after a night of sleeping and you feel kind of stiff because you were immobilized for a long period of time, and then once you get moving, then you can start to loosen up. All the same concept. But what floss does, it just helps to facilitate that process, and sometimes just movement alone isn't sufficient enough to really get those layers gliding. So with floss, we would wrap an area, so let's say it's our elbow or our forearm that's in discomfort or in pain or just feeling generally tight. And we would wrap that area around. Okay, kind of like so here. And so on, as high up as I need it to go. And then we would move that limb, okay? And that movement then, or the compression pushing down on those layers, and then the friction from the movement helps to break up the fuzz or help to get those surfaces gliding better. So that is Floss 101. You can use it if you feel tight, stiff, in pain or discomfort. Some contraindications: if you have poor blood flow, if you have high blood pressure, varicose veins, things like that, any circulation issues, you would be contraindicated. We would not want you to use the floss in that case. Okay? Everyone else, you're good to go. This works really well for, I've used it for wrists on my clients, elbows, knees, and ankles, okay? Because you can really totally wrap those limbs. Doesn't work so well for the hip or the shoulder because you can't really encompass that whole joint just because of our basic anatomy, okay? So give it a shot, see how it goes.